Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to drvoicetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today we're going to talk about Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, the guy that everybody's been listening to for the last year and a half, the guy who told grandkids that they couldn't go see their grandparents. The guy that pretty much wrote the gospel in everybody's house. He was, when you talk about the white man and you talk about the man, Dr. Fauci was the closest thing that you had in your life to the man as a person for an entire year and a half. We're going to talk about some recent revelations about not just Fauci, but about this pandemic that really concerned me. And I'm going to go deeper than just talking about what happened. I'm actually going to break down the implications and connect the dots for you. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt, hit the thumbs up button right now. We're going to get started on drvoicetv.com right away.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Voice TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drvoicetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and the thing about this platform is that this platform is for either Black people who are intelligent or who want to be intelligent. So if you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out, because I'm going to offend you and I'm going to say things that are going to challenge your thinking. And I'm not here to explain things to people that don't want to be explained to. If you don't want to be explained to, then you should go somewhere else. I'm sure there's somewhere that will accommodate ignorance, because it's everywhere. So let's give a shout out to Black intelligence and welcome to all of you. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm not going to take a lot of your time. I'm actually just going to address a couple things I was reading this morning. You know, I'm married. I married a beautiful Black woman by the name of Dr. Alicia Watkins. Her name is Dr. Alicia Watkins. I changed that last name. And she is a smart lady, and we have smart conversations together in the bed. She's a full professor of social work, a licensed therapist, and Lord knows I need a therapist next to me, because, you know, Black men, we half of us are half crazy. And I'll tell you what, we have honest conversations about all the things that are happening in the world. And this pandemic was one of those things we talked about on a regular basis. We were talking about it from the very beginning. And the thing is that, you know, when you're trained to be a scholar, you're kind of forced to be, you're forced in this awkward space where sometimes you're going to have ideas and perspectives that are not going to fit the mainstream. An intellectual or a scholar is supposed to be an intellectual leader, not a follower, right? I can't be a follower. I'm not going to just tell you what somebody put in a book. Scholars are the people that are supposed to write the book. So with this pandemic, one of the things that happened was, a lot of things that we didn't fit with our family and friends. I don't know, how many of you lost friends because of the election or the pandemic? Give me a yes or no if you've lost any friends, or had people think you were crazy, have people tell you that you're stupid, have people say that your opinions don't matter, or call you a Trump supporter. Give me a yes or no if you've gone through that. Because I know I have. I'm putting up both hands, because I got a lot of friends, and it pisses me off. It drives me crazy when one Black person will stop talking to another Black person because of what some white guy said. It makes me mad when one Black person will stop speaking to a Black relative because of what somebody said on CNN. It makes me angry. You done turned down, you done kicked your auntie out your life. Your auntie was there for you changing your diapers back in 1984. And you can't get past the fact that you're trying to get Trump out of office, and you're such a damn Democrat that you're literally disavowing all the people that love you in your life, all the people that were really there for you, that rode for you. That's ridiculous. That's sad. It's pathetic. It's ignorant. Seriously, it's ignorant. I'm not saying that you don't have a right to be a Democrat or to be a Republican. That is all within your right. But my God, people, are we that brainwashed? Are we that white supremacist that we will allow people from outside the community to dictate who your friends are going to be inside the community? Now, mind you, these are people that don't care nothing about you. Donald Trump don't care nothing about you. He ain't gonna come pay your bills. but your auntie helped you pay your rent when you and your kids is about to get evicted. Joe Biden, he ain't gonna come in and help you out when you're struggling, but your homeboy did. Your homeboy came by when you got your divorce and you were depressed or you were drinking too much or whatever. So my position on this is that it's real simple. When you talk about a B1 philosophy, this election, there was no better time to commit to a B1 philosophy, to understand that, look, you might be different from me. You might have different opinions from me, but we're both black first, and they hate all of us. This is something, when I have my students in the Black Business School read How the Jews Invented Hollywood, it's not anti-Semitic. It's actually a book that praises the innovation in that community when they built Hollywood and created something of their own. I respect that. And one of the things that happened with that community was they were very divided. They had the more conservative, traditional Jews who were the ones who owned the banks and the businesses. And then you had the more liberal folks, the writers and the artists, right? And they clashed a lot. They clashed over labor rights. They clashed over, issues related to drugs or whatever. But one area where they came together was when this guy in Nazi Germany emerged by the name of Adolf. Y'all know his last name. I'm not gonna say it because I think you get banned on YouTube for even saying his name, right? Which gets to my next point about freedom of speech. But this guy named Adolf came along and they realized, oh, wait a minute, stop the bus. Adolf wants to kill all of us, so we better unify or die. Unify or die. Diddy said vote or die. I don't agree. I think you can not vote and live, or you can vote and still die. But unify or die might have been a better slogan for Diddy to use in that election. Vote or die. We've been voting for a long time. We still dying. But unify or die. Well, when we ain't unified, we definitely gonna die. All right. So with that being said, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. There's my Twitter, by the way. Please follow me on Twitter because I'm tired of being followed by stupid people that I don't argue with stupid people. I'd rather have productive conversations with people that want to do better. So follow me on Twitter right there. And also later on today on drboystv.com, this channel, we're going to have Dr. Claude Anderson. And Dr. Anderson is necessary. I sent out the bat signal like on Batman when Commissioner Gordon sends out the little bat signal because he needs Batman to come in. I sent out the little bat symbol to tell Dr. Anderson, I said, hey, they're talking about Black Wall Street. They're talking about reparations. You know they're going to do it wrong. You know they're going to collapse the whole Black Wall Street conversation into symbolism. You know that they're going to give you a bunch of butter biscuits to the politicians and use that as an excuse to get nothing done. Biden's talking about Black Wall Street. We need you. We need our superhero. And I called him and he answered the call because here's the thing. I need Dr. Anderson to come through and talk about Black Wall Street in a proper context. I need him to give you facts. They go beyond what the mainstream media is going to tell you. I need him to also contextualize this so that you don't allow anybody, Biden or anybody else, to collapse the Black Wall Street conversation into another conversation about symbolism when it's really about systematic destruction of communities all across the country. Tulsa wasn't the only place where Black people had their wealth stolen. It was being done systematically for hundreds of years all across the United States. So a $15 billion plan that Biden announced that is literally his best offer is literally probably 1% of 1% of what is actually owed to you. You are owed trillions. So it's important to have the conversation in the right context. With that said, let's move on. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit that thumbs up button right now and put a hashtag B1 in the chat after you're done to let me know that you did it because I really need your support. Also subscribe to any channel that you're watching this conversation from because we really need intelligent Black people to come together. Unify or die. Very important. All right. With that said, here I want to ask you this question. So right now, apparently, according to various media outlets, these leaked emails are coming out where it's being revealed that Fauci and others, and I'm only going to talk about one angle of this story because I'm not really going to go deep into this. There's plenty of information out there, but one angle I want to really drill into is this. It turns out that Fauci and others were being advised by credible sources from the very beginning that this virus came out of a lab. That this virus it was not some thing where a bat bit a monkey who sneezed on a dog, who went and bit some owner in the leg, and next thing you know, no. It didn't come from a meat market. At least a lot of people believe that. It didn't come because somebody ate a bad cheeseburger at McDonald's. The virus allegedly, according to a lot of experts, very credibly came from a lab. Not only did it come from a lab, but a lab where it was engineered in a specific way, right? Now, is this all true one way or the other? I believe the verdict's still out. I want to be fair here. I'm not going to sit here and say that we know exactly what's going on, but there are a few things we do know. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is this. Give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you, when you heard this story, said, I told you so in your head? You were like, yeah, I knew it. Like you knew it all along, or you felt all along that there was something weird about it, or that there was more to it, or that they weren't telling you everything. How many of you felt that way? Give me a yes or no. I felt that way. I said this back in the day. You can go back and listen to my commentary about the pandemic, and you had to be very careful because they were censoring people who had dissenting opinions. They were basically shutting down the voices of anybody who did not go along with the pre-existing narrative, which to me, honestly, should lead you to reflect and to ponder upon, how possibly deeply insidious some sort of Chinese infiltration into the U.S. economy is. There's a reason why companies that are connected to the Chinese government are so interested in buying media outlets in the United States. There's a reason why. I want you to connect this. Remember, when conversations about the virus coming out of China were occurring, people didn't even they called it racist. If you said it was, I think Trump. I guess because it was coming from Trump and nobody liked him. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or anti-Trump. That's not the issue here. But when he called it the Chinese virus, they said that's racist. That's racist. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. And I wonder I'm like, where's this come from? Where's the sudden conversation about stopping Asian hate? Like, what is that? What are you talking? What? It was weird. It was almost like somebody planted these ideas into our society. And so from the very beginning, there were a lot of you, and I was in that group who said, no, this ain't stuff like you telling me a bat bit a monkey that spit on a dog and then he went to the bathroom and peed on a chinchilla and then no, y'all obviously don't understand how deep the deep state goes, how sinister these intelligence agencies can be. You don't understand. And here's the thing, right? I love China. I really do. I like the country a lot. I taught a class in China. I taught students in China, in Shanghai in 2006. Best students I ever had, most polite students I ever had more respect for professors than any place I'd ever been. Like going back to Syracuse University, you're arguing with some rich kid, whose parents gave money to the school who thinks you work for him. It was terrible. That's why we didn't get along, because you're not going to do that with me. But in China, very respectful. Wonderful students. And I saw during my time in China, I could see exactly why they are going to dominate the earth in the 21st century. They are going to dominate the entire planet for the same reason that intelligent Black people are going to dominate the Black community in about 40 to 50 years. I've laid out a Project 2070, where if you go to allblackeconomics.com, you can actually get a copy of my book. It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, where I lay out a blueprint for the next 50 years for Black people. And basically exactly what I've been telling Black people to do is what China is already doing. China was doing powernomics before powernomics was even a concept. China believes deeply in unity. They believe in the collective over the individual. They believe in things like educating their youth at the highest level. They also believe in giving their youth a type of education that focuses on the strength of the family, strength of the community. So basically, they turn their energy inward, whereas in many cases, we turn our energy outward. Instead of giving all of their resources away, that's what we do as Black people. Unfortunately, we're trained where you can have 5 really smart Black people that grow up in the same family. They all end up working for white people. Every single one of them, their energy is something that is powerful when you collapse it and you pull it together. Like a laser can go, if you pull the energy together, it can go through a rock. But if you spread the energy out, it doesn't do anything. Like the energy of the sun, when it's spread out, you just feel a little warmth on your body, but it's not much. But if you took all that energy and collapse it into a laser, whereas you bring it together, you unify that energy, it can cut through a rock. So for Black folks, in many cases, your economic energy is dissipated. It's not unified. Your time and labor, it's dissipated. It's not unified. You're going out and I'm an engineer. My brother is a doctor. My sister is a lawyer. And my sister goes to work for a white law firm. My engineer brother goes and works for a big white corporation. My brother goes and works for a big white hospital. And next thing you know, you end up dissipated. You end up struggling. right? So my point is to say that China ain't like that. China doesn't do that. China does powernomics. That's why China is going to win. So effectively, when I saw kind of how things went down with this pandemic, I noticed a couple of things very early on. The first thing I noticed was that despite the fact that this whole virus started right in Wuhan, right in China, China was the first country. Did y'all notice? China was the first country to completely clean it up, to completely get rid of it. I'm like, wait a minute, wait, 1 minute, it's right there in the middle of your country. You've got all these people getting sick. And then suddenly, like a month later, you're like, oh, we have no cases. Like, I swear to God, I saw a report where they said that mind you, I need y'all to see this. These are high level concepts. A lot of people aren't going to see this, God, and it pisses me off because I just feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes. But process this for a minute. China has what's the population of China right now? It keeps growing. I want to say like 1.3, 1.4 billion. Let me see. Let me look it up. Let me Google this because I want to make sure I get the number right. Let's see here. What is the population of China? Right now, the population of China is 1.398 billion people. 1.398 billion people. And I swear to God that I saw a report like a month after this virus leaked or, hit the public, where the Chinese government literally said, in all of China, we had just 20 new cases this week of the virus, or 20 deaths or something. And I was like, 20? Oh, and then they said, oh, and all those people were from Europe. They were from other countries. None of them were from China. So I said, wait a minute. So just a month ago, y'all had people dying in the streets. But now a month later, you have 20 deaths and all of them were from Europe. Like none of them were from China. I said, y'all some lying motherfuckers. Like y'all lying. Like this is crazy, right? But here's the thing, right? So then when you say that, people are like, no, stop Asian hate. That's racist for you to say that. And they're like, no, it's because they wore their masks. They were wearing their masks. Like, are you stupid? How dumb do you have to be for that to make any sense whatsoever? So China, that was the first clue that told me, okay, they have some BS. Okay, there goes China. Okay, I get what they do. They got their pimp hand is strong. They control information. And basically what they were saying to the rest of the world is, we got this. They were saying, look, we got 1.4 billion people to feed. We're not going to shut it all down over, a couple 100,000 people dying. We're going to handle that. We got hospitals. We got a medical system. We'll deal with that in private. It was like your grandma. Remember anybody have a grandma that didn't want nobody else to know the family business, no matter what it was? Like grandma didn't even want the neighbors to know what y'all ate for dinner that day. I remember one time my grandmother, Felicia, bless her soul, her name was Felicia Taylor. And it's funny, the woman I married, her name was Alicia Taylor, which made me wonder if we were related. I found out we weren't, thank God. But because it's Kentucky, you never know. And so my grandmother, I remember one time, I just mentioned when I was 10, I said something about the roaches. And I said, yeah, there was a roach. And I was on the basketball court. I said, yeah, there was roaches in the house. And my grandma looked like she's about to knock all my teeth out because I mentioned, well, of course, that's bad, right? But grandma didn't want nobody to know the family business. And China's like your grandma. Like China's like, no, you don't need to know. We got this. No, we're not going to report anything. And so in addition to magically recovering from the pandemic really fast, they also were very uncooperative. If you remember, the World Health Organization was trying to go in and investigate. They were like, okay, we just want to, do a friendly stop through and see, check it out and, prevent this from happening again, find out what really went down. The Chinese government was like, we ain't telling you nothing. No, we're not helping. We're not cooperating. And scientists were disappearing. If you remember the beginning, there were scientists coming out and telling you these things. Like they were saying these things. They were saying these things on social media, and they were being shut down. They were just disappearing. Their videos, of course, were gone. You had legitimate doctors who were doing commentary to kind of give you more context. They weren't telling you that it wasn't real. Like that's the thing. I don't want you to think that I'm saying it was all completely a hoax. But they were kind of saying like there's more to it than just what you're seeing on CNN. And this is where I got offended as a scholar. you got to this point where you couldn't help but try to figure out, like, why are the tech giants complicit in the suppression of any and all information that deviated from the pre-existing narrative? Why was Facebook so eager to ban anybody's page if they simply said, I think this thing came out of a lab, right? They were, YouTube was shutting down videos of licensed doctors, people who went to medical school. These weren't people with just opinions. These were MDs who were giving another point of view. It doesn't mean that they were saying, oh, it's not a big deal, get rid of it. It was really to provide context for those people who were like, okay, I need to know what the hell's going on, right? So I can know if my family is safe or not. And so the politics of it just made us look stupid. And the fact that the tech giants had the power, the economic and political power to censor any and all dissenting opinions should alarm and scare the hell out of you. It should scare you that they literally that all this information you're seeing right now, leaked emails, the whole theory and everything else about the lab leak, if that had not been released, then they could continuously do this, and they're going to do it. They're still doing it to this day, so I think that's the reason why I felt the need to talk about this topic, is because you got to be really careful about this idea that it's okay to suppress opinions that differ from your own. I know sometimes people have conspiracy theories. I know sometimes people say things that are crazy. I see crazy ideas on the left and the right. Sure, yeah, an anti-masker, I'm not with that. I think why not go ahead and just kind of just in case, protect yourself, whatever. At least I wore a mask the entire pandemic. But then on the left, you got craziness too. Like on the left, they tell you crazy things like a boy can decide on Tuesday to be a boy. He's a boy on Tuesday and he wants to be a girl on Thursday, and then he can go become a female boxer and beat women's asses all day. Like, that's a weird idea. That's very strange. Regular people don't understand that. That's insanity to us, right? But so there's crazy ideas on all extremes, but you cannot eliminate the opinion of 40 million people because of the extremists. That's my point. Right. And the way your politics works in America is that we will dismiss literally the really well thought out points of view because of who you're aligned with politically. Like, oh, well, because you voted for Trump, then nothing you say has any credibility unless you say something that agrees with me. If you say something that's called fascism. That's called oppression. That's what oppression looks like. Oppression is when I say, look, anything you say that doesn't agree with something I can relate to or something that I can accept, I'm going to write it all off because of who your friends are, right? And I don't like that at all. I don't like it when they do it to black people. They for example, the way they have censored Farrakhan, it's unfair. They censor him. They say he's violent. You say, well, what has he done that's violent? They say, well, we censored him because he's violent. Well, what has he done that's violent? Well, we censored him because he's violent. Well, what has he done that's violent? They still don't answer the question. They just keep saying we censored him because he's violent. What has he done that's violent? They don't answer that question. They just create a narrative and say, well, it's true because we said so, and that's it. They do exactly here something similar to what China does. And I know how China operates pretty well. I'm not an expert on China, but I do know a few things. Now, Jason says he cannot hear me. Can you hear me? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear. Okay. And please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. And I want to remind everybody that later on today, Dr. Claude Anderson will be, I'm going to bring him on financialjuneteenth.tv.com actually. And so make sure you subscribe to that. And also the blackbosschannel.com. It's a platform for black men. So if you're into hearing what black men have to say, then go to the Black Boss channel. We have Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Wellness. We have people like Jeff Lightsey Jr. We have people like Dr. Adrian Carter, who talks about relationships. We have lots of brilliant brothers that contribute to the platform. And I believe black men need to be bosses. Black men should be kings. But to be a king, we're not going to call you a king just because you're a black man. You got to earn king status. Just like I don't call every woman a queen just because you got a vagina. No, you got to earn queen status. How you carry yourself as black people is extremely important. And I think that we got to get rid of accepting any and all nonsense in our community. That doesn't make any sense. With that said, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button right now. So let me lay out a couple of other suspicions I had and concerns I had about China as I was sort of watching this go down. So China, first of all, China recovered from the virus faster than any other developed country in the world. So instantly, like a month or two later, they're suddenly claiming they have no new cases. I'm like, yeah, that's a bunch of BS, right? So everybody's lying, right? You've got the liberals in those cities that are basically saying that everybody's going to die. Like in Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, I think there was a nurse who leaked it out where basically they spent millions of dollars taking the whole McCormick Center, which is a gigantic building in downtown Chicago. They took the whole McCormick Center and prepared it just for all the new patients that were going to come in. Because they knew that there's going to be a flood of patients coming in, and that the McCormick Center was the best place to keep them. And everybody was sort of on full alert. All these nurses had been hired, and there was a black nurse, because the sisters would tell us the truth. A black nurse who went online and said that was BS. Like, we had almost no patients. Like, it was almost completely empty. And so they got into the point where it became a runaway narrative where it's like, okay, we're in an election year. We've got to stick with this story because if we don't keep people in fear, we cannot win this election. Right. And I saw right through all of that. That's why during the pandemic, many of you thought I was crazy because me and Alicia we kept living our best life. We were getting on airplanes, going places. We went out of the country. We did a lot of the same stuff we were doing before. We just took precautions. We went ahead and put our masks on. We made sure that we kept our natural immune system strong. I took a lot of vitamin D. We exercised, got plenty of sleep, did all the things necessary to keep your immune system strong. And that was another narrative that was not presented to you. The only narrative they presented to black folks was, well, here, get this shot. Everything's going to be okay. Well, I'm sorry. I hate saying this, but if overweight or like hyper obese ass, chitlin eating, like chitlin and pig feet eating ass shows up and just gets a shot, thinking that a shot is going to keep you safe, then I feel sorry for you. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just telling you that that's not all that there is to it when it comes to mastering your health. So people like Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Wellness, are a blessing for the community, or Dr. Charm and many others who understand holistic health are a blessing to the community because they can tell you all the ways that you can keep yourself healthy besides getting the shot. This ain't just about the shot. I don't care if you got the shot. If you got the shot, get it. If you didn't want to get it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, people that are telling you that, oh my God, you could die any moment if you walk outside your door, and that the only way to save you is to get this shot. No, that's not accurate. That's not true. If I were to go right now and look online at the number of black people who died from the pandemic, I would see a number that would make me sad. But if I were to go online and look at the number of black people who died from diabetes, that number would make me sadder. If I looked at the number of black people who died from heart disease, that number would make me super sad. If I looked at the number of black people who died from obesity, that would just blow me away. If the number of black people who died from the Popeyes chicken is Holocaust proportions, I'm sure. So this idea that this is the one threat that you have, this is the one thing that scares you, the one thing that can keep you safe, is false. It is a lie. It's done for manipulation. It's done to get power for those who are power brokers. The Chinese are the ultimate power brokers. So so the U.S. government was manipulating you for their own political purposes and their economic purposes. Remember these government shots or whatever, billions of dollars are exchanging hands over these sorts of things, right? Elections are being won over these sorts of things. But then China was playing the game with the world. China, not only did they recover the fastest from the pandemic, but also China did not cooperate with the investigation. That further confirmed something that I already suspected, that they were lying, right? The third thing that I saw was that amongst the largest economies on earth, did you know, guess what? I want y'all to answer this question. There was one developed nation, the only one developed nation that had positive GDP growth this year, or during the year of the pandemic. GDP is gross domestic product. It's a measure of economic growth. Only one country, the United States' GDP for 2020. Let me see. I want you to guess the name of the country that was the one developed country that had positive GDP growth in the year 2020. So let me just give you, let's see, U.S. GDP growth in 2020. U.S. GDP, let's see here. Okay, in the fourth quarter, it went up. But in 2020, the economy in the U.S., it shrank 3.5%. 3.5%. But there was one country that had positive GDP growth during a year where everybody's struggling. This one country had positive GDP growth. No other developed country did. What's the name of that country? Yes. Thank you. Somebody said Africa. Africa is not a country, it's a continent, but that's okay. We love you anyway. So you're the only country, like, you recovered the fastest. you're not cooperating with the investigation, and you're the only country in developed country to have a positive GDP growth when everybody else is struggling. That makes us suspicious. It's like, wait. The police raided the whole building, and we all got arrested. We all walked away in handcuffs, but you got out of jail first. How'd you get out of jail? I got my cousin got a 47-year sentence. I'm facing life. My homeboy is about to get 25 years, but you were out on the street the following weekend. Doesn't that make you look suspicious? Man, it's like the person who farts, and then they're the first one to smell it. They said the one who smelt it dealt it, right? Like so they're basically saying somebody farted. Ooh, it stinks in here, right? But that's because they knew about the fart before the fart became public, right? Before it became public information, they knew what was going to occur before it actually happened. So China farted, and then basically was like complaining about the smell. They went to jail with everybody else, but got out the following weekend. So China was looking suspicious from the very beginning. Very shady. Here's another interesting thing. So this goes deeper than just saying that all this was leaked from a lab. I think it's deeper than just a leak. I think also you got to consider the possibility that something was engineered, that not just the virus being engineered, but perhaps the leak being engineered. Now, that part is a stretch. I don't know about that part. I haven't seen evidence to that extent. But don't put it past them. Don't put it past. I told you, they are dead serious about their plans for world domination. They are, and I don't hate them for it. They're gangster with it. I got my niece. I told my brother, I said, make sure she learns Chinese in addition to Spanish and English, because China's going to have 10 times more power than the United States. It would blow me away, stun me, if the U.S. was able to maintain its dominance in 50 years, because your population is getting older. You're not educating your children. You're not planning for the future. You don't make plans that go beyond the next election cycle or the next quarter for your quarterly profits. China is making 200-year plans for their country. China just changed their one-child law. They used to only let their people have one child because they didn't want to get their population too big. Now they're like, no, you can go ahead and make it rain. Go ahead and have them babies. We want you to have 3 kids. You can have up to 3 kids now. So China is going to explode in population, and they're going to explode in power. They're educating their children, and they're not just educating them, but they are indoctrinating them in a way that is beneficial to China. So they're not just giving them education, because a lot of y'all black folks got education, but you basically, many of you, unfortunately, are white supremacists. Like you were educated by your oppressor to serve your oppressor in an adequate way. It's almost like a little girl raised to be a prostitute from the time she's 7, right? She's not being raised to be an independent working woman. She's being raised to serve men, right? Well, you've been raised like a little political prostitute. You're being educated at the highest levels to go and serve companies that are not in your community, to serve causes that don't exist in your community, to serve political parties that care nothing about black folks, and that makes you feel successful. So China isn't doing that, though. China used to have that problem. They used to have people that they educated in China that would go overseas and they go work for the United States. Well, they said, we're going to put an end to all that. We're going to start doing powernomics now. What we're going to do is, if you get an education here, we're going to try to keep you here, and we want you to bring all of your resources back here. We want you to bring all of your scientific know-how back to China. We want you to come back and to only see value in serving and supporting China. So again, we're B1. China is C1, and that is the philosophy that leads to winning. The United States is not that. The United States, and this is a legitimate critique, and this is actually going to lead to another reason why I was suspicious of China from the very beginning in terms of what they were doing with this, taking advantage of this pandemic. One interesting thing about or critique that the Chinese have of democracy is, and this is one that you'll never hear in public school, because we are indoctrinated to believe that democracy is always the best approach to everything. And I'm not saying that it isn't valuable in certain ways. I love things like freedom of speech and expression. I think those are good things. But one thing that they mentioned is they said that people in the West, they can't get anything done because you spend all your time bickering with each other. you have all this infighting between the Democrats and Republicans, where you get to the point where they're sabotaging each other so much that you can't make any progress. So, for example, Dr. Claude Anderson, as part of his Powernomics plan, has talked extensively about trying to get the Biden administration to consider a high-speed rail network, right? Now, the Biden administration refuses to meet with Dr. Anderson. They told Ice Cube that they would meet him after the election. Of course, they didn't meet Ice Cube and his team. They didn't even meet with Black Lives Matter. They're not even meeting with the go along, get along gang, let alone outcast Negroes like us. So here's the thing. When you're talking about sort of all this politically happening in the United States, one of the problems is, remember, I told you unify or die. The United States is not unified. That's another reason why the United States is not going to win, because you can't even agree to properly educate your children. And as a country, we don't invest in education. So 50 years from now, their kids will be smarter than our kids, right? Period. But again, if you look at this bubble that we have of intelligent Black people, the B1 bubble, that's not going to be true. Our goal in this space is to shift the laws of political, socioeconomic physics, where all the things that are going to affect everyone else is not going to affect you. Kids not being educated, well, that's not your problem, because we've been telling you from the beginning, educate your own damn kids, right? So your kids are going to be ahead of the curve. Your kids are going to be financially intelligent. So when your kids sit down with their kids and make a business deal, your children are going to win. They're going to walk away with the most money. So they're going to have the same problem that China has. China, again, I'm not hating on China. I'm talking about China. I'm literally laying out the game. I'm not really sitting here saying, oh, China's evil, China's terrible. No, in the game of power, you got to put aside stuff like good and evil and all that, because that's all arbitrary. I'm just talking about who's powerful and who's not. I'm talking about who's winning and who's not. Because believe me, mark my words, I'm going to tell you this right now. Get ready for it. When you really start practicing Powernomics in your life, when you really start living your purpose, when you really start building your empire, the haters will stack up at the door from the floor to the ceiling. You will have more haters than you can ever imagine. Do you know how many haters I got when I suddenly became effective at what I do? Like, do you know how many haters I have right now? Y'all see the haters. The haters might even be in the chat. I got haters online. I got spies and people that, it happens, right? But it doesn't matter, because they don't understand that by hating so much, they're actually recognizing your power. Because when they spend that time talking about you and being mad at you, or they're going to spend time being mad at you, look at them. The Negro think he better than everybody. Look at that car he drives. Think he better because he got a new Mercedes. But right, what they're doing is they're kind of lending credibility to the fact that you're successful, and that's why they're giving you their attention. You will almost never be hated on by somebody who's doing better than you. That's just a fact. People that hate you are typically not doing better than you. There are people who are jealous of you and who would give anything to learn whatever secret sauce and formula you have to obtain power that they do not have. So this ain't just about China. This is really about Black people. And it ain't just about Black people. It's really about you. It's really about me sort of explaining to you that this is what's going on. This is the dynamic I saw. And because I'm into strategy, I love strategy. Again, maybe it's because my master's is in math. I'm a mathematician. So I like logic and strategy. I'm not into the emotionality. I'm not into screaming and hollering and, well, Black Lives Matter, whatever, man. I don't need to explain that to you. I'm more into saying, how did they do that? Man, let's dissect that real quick. So I love doing the breakdown. I love doing that's why my podcast actually it's on Spotify. It's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, because I like breaking things down. I like chopping them into little pieces and dicing it up and dissecting it so we can really see what's going on, so you can build something better. You have to build a better Black community if you're going to win. You have to build a better Black man. You must build a better Black woman. You must build a better Black family. You must build better Black children. You must build better Black businesses. You must build better Black schools. You got to build better Black all the way across the board, or you're not going to win. You are not going to win. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Please do that. I'm gonna go ahead and finish nailing the rest of this conversation. And also, if you want to support the channel, feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. There is a Patreon there, and there's lots of free special benefits you get by being a patron. So feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. Here's the last thing that was really interesting that I thought showed me that the whole China led me to not be surprised at all by the whole lab leak theory from China. That Fauci knew it. I figured he knew it, and I also, because anybody with common sense should have known this, in my view, was also, if you pay attention here, some of you may have noticed, or maybe not. How many of you noticed what was going on in Hong Kong? Did anybody notice how there was such a lot of chaos in Hong Kong right before all this went down? Do you remember in 2019? LeBron James got in big trouble because he was asked about China and Hong Kong, and he didn't want to get involved. Right? Anybody remember that? They shut him down like a little boy. Like they were like it was real interesting. Like you got to always pay attention when a real powerful person who's normally outspoken and fearless is suddenly like fearful and cautious. Right. You know, there's something going on. It's like when you got a child who's like full of life and full of energy and then suddenly they're shy and scared. You're like, OK, what happened, baby? Like, what's going on? So with LeBron, you're kind of like, OK, man, what happened? You OK? What scared you? Well, LeBron was afraid of China. He was afraid of China because China has a real issue with Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a great, beautiful city, 7.5 million people, that was actually acquired by the British in a 99-year lease. In which after 99 years, I don't know why they make stupid agreements like this, but they were supposed to give China back, or Hong Kong back to China, right? The problem is that during that time, you know, Hong Kong, if you think of it like a child, this child's been raised in a different environment. This child, Hong Kong, has been raised by the British, who believe in things like, you know, democracy and capitalism and free enterprise, right? China is not the same. China's conservative. China is communist. China doesn't believe in individual liberties and freedoms if they get in the way of the progress of the collective, right? So Hong Kong is given back to China, and Hong Kong is like not having it. They're like, no, we're not. We're not going back to our old dad. You know, like you've been living at your daddy's house and your daddy is like cool and taking good care of you. And you get to, you know, you're having fun. You're going to the amusement parks, eating ice cream, staying up all night. And then they send you to your mama. And let's say your mama's a disciplinarian. Your mama's like, I'm not one of your little friends. You're not going to stay up all night. You're not going to, you know, we're not going to watch TV except an hour a day, right? You're going to do your homework, right? Well, you might, you know, think about it. If you're a child, because I got kids, you know, we got kids in the house. When they go to their daddy's house, it might be a different environment from the mama's house, right? So they may be like, I don't want to go over there anymore, right? Or whatever, right? So Hong Kong is saying, we don't want to go to our daddy's house. That's our real daddy, but we don't want to live with him because we like living with our mama, right? Or whatever, right? So basically, when Hong Kong was being handed over to China, I'm getting to the point here. This is why I believe strongly, without a doubt, that there was a lot of sinister stuff happening with this pandemic. So Hong Kong, they could not control Hong Kong. Hong Kong had millions of people that were out in the streets protesting over this democracy thing. They had millions of people in the streets. You know, like y'all got Black Lives Matter protests. We have a few thousand, 100,000 or whatever. They would have like 1 million people like out in the streets. And the Chinese government could not stop it. They did not know what to do. Well, guess what? So suddenly, conveniently, now I know somebody's made a joke. Somebody said this dude never gets to the point. That's right. You should definitely get the fuck out if you can't follow this flow of conversation, because it's probably above your pay grade. So it's okay. You can leave. I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to be honest, and to be thorough. So Hong Kong, basically, the virus gave China an opportunity to shut Hong Kong down, right? So suddenly, now pay attention now. So before, they couldn't just go in like stormtroopers and beat everybody upside the head and kill them and whatever to shut it down. That would cause a serious international incident. That wouldn't have worked very well, right? But now they get to do what the police do to you, right? They get to come in and say, well, for your safety, we have to pass a new law. And so we passed a new law for your safety that says that if we see more than 2 people congregating at once, we can arrest you both because you're putting the public in danger. You see, you gotta be careful about the concepts of safety and danger and how they are used consistently by politicians to shut down any form of dissent. Right? Like when people were talking about, like, let's say, for example, I have friends that were Biden supporters. I have friends that were Trump supporters. Right. And so I would listen to them both. And what I noticed that made me really sad was I would hear people that would say, they would say, oh, well, I'm not going to be friends with him because he voted for Trump. And I'd be like, well, why? But that's your cousin. Like, he loved you. He loved you when nobody else did. So why do you care who he voted for? Well, or the reason I take it personally is because Trump is dangerous, and supporting Trump, being a Trump supporter, is dangerous, right? So they use that term dangerous, or you're putting, or when they're telling you what your opinion is supposed to be on the virus, right? They're like, well, we got to shut down your YouTube channel because your opinions are dangerous. They shut down Farrakhan because his ideas are dangerous, right? That's the term. Just pay attention. That's the dog whistle term, dangerous. That term is used as an excuse to oppress people on a regular basis. Because believe me, if you were to talk about some of the stuff going on with boys decide they want to be girls at the age of 8, I could easily make an argument to say maybe telling an 8-year-old to get a sex change is very dangerous. I don't know. How many of you would agree with me, right? Like, so you can use that term dangerous anytime you want. And what it does is it justifies your ability to oppress other people. Like, people get to the point where, I don't really care what your politics are. I don't care who you voted for, because that's what democracy is supposed to be. Democracy is supposed to be something where you vote for who you vote for, I vote for who I vote for, and then we go to lunch and maybe we talk about it, or maybe we don't. I don't give a shit. But when you get to the point where you are like, well, the reason I think it's okay for us to go and burn down buildings in a black neighborhood is because these ideas are dangerous, or these people are dangerous. Well, that's a dangerous thing for you to say in the beginning, because what you're doing is you're using the term dangerous to justify any sort of behavior that you engage in that is oppressive toward other people. That idea of being dangerous is exactly the terminology that was used when white police officers went into Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Greenwood section, and killed up and shot up 300 people. Do you understand? Go look at the news articles. They weren't seen as terrorists going in and killing black people and stealing all their money. They were seen as honorable, noble men who were protecting the community from the dangerous black people who were rioting on the other side of town. So that term dangerous, it's a dangerous term to use. How about that? How about we just focus on that? So because the term dangerous has been used to oppress black people since forever. It is used around the world. This is a common thing. Rahm Emanuel, who used to work for the Obama administration, made a really interesting statement where he said, you never waste a good crisis. You never waste a good crisis. And so what happened was, during this whole pandemic, the problem with the pandemic was that it had nothing to do with people's health and safety. They cared nothing about protecting the public, very little. That was completely secondary to pursuing your political agenda by any means necessary. So the Democrats had their agenda, the Republicans had their agenda. I was just looking for facts. Alicia and I, again, my wife, I love her to death. I love her to life, not to death. She is a licensed therapist and a full professor. So we sit and we would have conversations that allowed us to honestly reflect on what's going on. We didn't want to hear what your emotions were telling you about what was happening, or what CNBC or Fox News told you about what was happening. We ended up watching things like C-SPAN, because C-SPAN will just allow you to watch the press conference from the politician so you can hear what they're saying, or allow you to just get information from the scientists without that filter. My sister's a medical doctor. I talk to my sister a lot to say, okay, so what's really going on? What's dangerous and what's not? I would look for little pieces of information, and I would share this on the podcast. Like, I would talk to you guys about this, because I don't think we get enough intelligent black analysis out here. We get a lot of nonsense, a lot of hoo-ha, a lot. I call it the Negro sphere. The Negro sphere is full of a lot of yelling, screaming people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, who just ride on your emotions because they know that you're easily triggered, and the emotionality is an important thing. But there are little clues I would pick up. So, for example, one natural experiment that occurred that really allowed me to understand what was really going on in the depths of the crisis was when, does anybody remember when Trump and his crew, the Republicans, all got together and had all these events with no mask right in the middle of the pandemic? Anybody remember that? And everybody was screaming and hollering like, oh my God, this is terrible. You're a super spreader. And then I think Trump got the virus and his wife got it, and all these Republicans got it, right? Now, here's what I was thinking about. This is literally me just sort of looking at this from a direct perspective. I said, okay, so the Republicans tend to consist of a lot of old, fat white men. There's a lot of their ratio of old, fat white men is probably higher than the rest of the general population, because that's what the Republicans represent. They got some black people in there too, but a lot of old, fat white men. I said, so this virus, we looked at the data. We know that older people are more likely to be infected and killed, or more likely to be killed. Maybe not infected, but whatever. So I want to see. So if their theory is right, if we should be as worried as they say, then all these old fat white men should be dropping like flies. Then it should be, they should be, having a parade in a month, because all these old fat white men who were dumb enough to not wear a mask are all going to just be dropping dead. I mean, Chris Christie, my God, have you seen Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey? This dude I mean, he's like if I'm a virus and I'm looking to kill old fat white people, I'm gonna be like, I'm licking my chops, right? He's a sitting duck, right? Chris Christie got it. He went to the hospital, and I was sitting there. I kid you not, I was like, I told Alicia, I said, as soon as one of them, just one of them, out of hundreds and hundreds of infections, if just one of them dies, because it should be, according to what they're telling you on CNN, it should be more than one. It should be like 80, right? Or 100, right? But if just one of them dies, that's going to be their headline story for the entire week. They're going to, because again, these media outlets, they get their money based on ratings, and they want big numbers, and they know that something like that would generate all the big numbers and all the I told you so's that would be coming in from all the people who said, see, I told you this is going to happen. And I watched and watched and watched, and I did not see one. I did not see one old fat white guy go down from that whole super spreader event. If he did, he wasn't very famous. I thought Trump would be, he would be patient zero, right? He would be the number one guy. He didn't go down. Now, what you did see was you saw Herman Cain go down. And Herman Cain, and again, to be clear, he made a mistake in my view by going out without a mask. If I'm 71 years old, I don't do that. If I am a cancer survivor, which means your immune system is incredibly weak, I don't do that. Right. I've seen cancer survivors with weak immune systems who didn't wear masks who are still alive, but I wouldn't be one of them. I would put my mask on because why risk it? Why risk it just over the politics? Right. But Herman Cain did go down, but they didn't talk about the fact that Herman Cain had a lot of heavy pre-existing conditions. So my point is not to shift your opinion about that whole pandemic thing. It's to say, maybe we should have more energy exerted toward looking for facts. And I don't believe these politicians are giving us facts. I don't believe these media outlets are giving us facts. I believe these media outlets, there used to be a time where media was objective. There was a time where journalists had respect and credibility. There was a time where you could watch the news and they were going to give you the information whether you liked it or not. I liked those days. I miss those days. I get tired of somebody telling me what my opinion is supposed to be without me getting a chance to form it. No, damn it. Don't give me my opinion. Let me give you my opinion. And then give me the facts. You're a journalist. Stop it. Stop acting like a damn cheerleader. It's ridiculous. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And so the final point I'll make on this is that when you're talking about China and all this stuff going on with the pandemic, it's clear that there were some lies being shared. It's clear that Dr. Fauci knew. It's clear that a lot of us got played. I wasn't getting played. I wasn't one of them. Many of you were not. If you weren't getting played, I applaud you. Applaud yourselves. Like seriously, if you're in a category where you didn't get played by any of this, type yes in the chat or whatever, because I congratulate you, because you're my type of people. Like, I like talking to the people who sometimes feel a little bit out of sorts, who feel a little bit like out of the mainstream, who aren't going to be invited to the dinner party because you're so committed to telling the truth. I've always been like that. When I was a kid, my mother used to say, boy, your mouth will either make you great or get you killed. I'm curious to see which one, because we need truth tellers in our society. We don't have that anymore because everybody's trying to fit in. Everybody's trying to get along with the political party. When Kwame Brown was talking about the go along, get along gang, and I think he mistakenly thought I was in that group. Maybe he doesn't know my work. I have no idea. It didn't bother me because I know that that's not me. I think about the go along, get along gang as all these people that are simply repeating what they're hearing on TV, repeating what they're hearing from their favorite politician, repeating what some celebrity said without actually thinking through any of this. And I can just tell you that Black folks, if you're trying to break away from various forms of oppression, you must have critical thinkers in your community. If you have no critical thinkers in your community, you are done. You will not win. You cannot succeed. You cannot fight white supremacy, because the opposite of critical thinking is pretty much a type of brainwash thinking where you simply go along with whatever the system tells you, and you live in a white supremacist system. So you must be a critical thinker if you're going to find a way to break away. If I were not a critical thinker and did not have the courage to execute some of my critical and unpopular ideas, I would not be here talking to you right now. I'd be sitting under some white man's thumb, working at some stupid business, mad as hell because white people give themselves all the benefits. I want you to have the benefits. I want you to win. But to do that, you've got to break out of this box. So let's kind of take a note from this. Let's take a lesson from this. I'm not going to go hard with this whole I told you so kind of thing, but I will kind of say to you that it's okay for you to have your own ideas. Just try to back them up with facts, though, and not just emotion, because that's not going to help you win. All right. So anyway, take care, guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. And today, later on, Dr. Claude Anderson will be coming on the platform. He's also going to be on financialjuneteenth.tv.com, and I'll give you guys the URL in a second. Also, if you want to see the Black agenda that we have with the Powernomics plan, the contract with Black America, my $5 a day investing plan, all kinds of resources that you can apply to make your family stronger and better, feel free to go to the allblackagenda.com. That's the allblackagenda.com. So I'm out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button on your way out. And financialjuneteenth.tv.com. That's where Dr. Anderson will be today at 2:15 p.m. Eastern. I got to go. Have a good day, guys. Love you, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.